Alright, what is going on YouTube? Project Belgium versus BacT. It is going to be a best of 5 in Redbull Wololo 4 qualifiers. This is round 6 already. Now we have a civilization draft, unlike in the previous rounds. Ethiopians, Magyars, Aztecs, Indians, Koreans, Khmer for Project Belgium. BacT with Britons, Italians, Mayans, Portuguese, Tatars, and Chinese. And in terms of home maps, we have absolutely no idea because the players did not post that. So it is what it is. Alright. So let's jump into the first game over here on Arabia. Well, in this case, it's called Runestones, but the map itself is very, very similar to Arabia. So welcome to the first game, Runestones. Britons for BacT on the right side is Britons and Ethiopians for yellow Project Belgium. Once again, we see the players spawning very, very close to each other. This is something that I've noticed with a lot of Runestone scripts here, that they just spawn so close to each other, and not like on the opposing side. This also creates a lot of confusion for the players because they sometimes struggle to find each other, as here's a bit of a scout scuffle. Who's gonna win it? I think it's yellow. Yeah, I think BacT knows. Project Belgium, the first tournament performance for him in his new clan MYI, which I think is Mensanity, and it's a Swiss team. They were signed, like Project Belgium, Sito, Bulletchen, and Daniel were the players signed to MYI. So they now represent a new team, and honestly, this is a very, very close matchup. So both Project Belgium and BacT has a good chance of winning this one. BacT on his better days will be able to stomp Project Belgium, but BacT also is fairly inconsistent, and we're gonna have an archer opening on both sides, to no one's surprise, I shall say. So, let's see what are we getting over here from Project Belgium. He's gonna go for the Vols. Should be all good for him. Intercepts 2 archers and takes one of them down. That's a nice little start for him. His gold mine is very much exposed on the front, which is far from ideal. In contrast, BacT's gold is super safe. So I'm actually liking BacT's position a lot more here, because he's got a wood line and a gold over here. Oh yeah, it's a best of 5, sorry. I forgot to set this one up because we were casting previous rounds. True, it's a best of 5. But I fixed it. So, archers now coming in from both sides. It is a bit of a poking and probing style gameplay. Project Belgium, we have to talk. Why did you send the pig out to the middle of nowhere? Is this actually like a scouting pig? It kind of feels like it. It kind of feels like a scouting pig. I don't know how this guy got in here, but hopefully he finds his way back home. Like, I understand if it's a scouting pig because he probably wants to scout like his opponent's base with his starting scout. But nonetheless, we're gonna have archers and skirms coming in from both sides. So this is one of those matchups where if the Ethiopians can get close, they will just dominate Britons, but if the Britons can keep the distance, the Britons will just eat up the Ethiopians. So this could go either ways. As I said, I'm starting to like BacT's position a little bit better because his base and resources are so safe. Looking at the upgrades, it looks like we have Bit Axe for both players and no Horse Collar for either. I like how Project Belgium is sending out some Veils to the hunt. That's something that you should always do if you have the option to do so. And you see that BacT can't really do that, although technically he could delete this Policide and risk sending out some Veils there, especially if he knows that his opponent's army is in there, but it's better to be safe than sorry, says BacT, and just ensures that he's not gonna have any hole on the left side. So he's not gonna go for the deer, but that gives a very, very nice advantage to Project Belgium in terms of resources. And you see that he's 500 food, 300 gold, comparable resources for BacT, but the food count is actually a lot lower. And this could result in a slightly better castlage time here for Project Belgium. Upgrades, it's +1/+1 for BacT. Project Belgium has the same upgrades here as well. And BacT is looping around with a couple of archers. There's a hole here, so if BacT gets through that, Project Belgium is just going to absolutely die over there. Castlage will come in a matter of moments for Project Belgium, shortly followed by BacT in this one. BacT should be able to go for at least one TC in the university, which would be a nice and balanced approach to this game. Whereas on the other side, Project Belgium probably fast University Ballistics, and then he will see if he's gonna go for a forward Siege Workshop or not. So, now we have Project Belgium finishing off that wall as well, grabs Horse Color as the second batch of farms draws near. And for now, he will just mass archers back at home. He might need to evacuate this wood line, but that's not the end of the world for the time being. BacT is gonna be about half a minute behind in Castle Age timing. That's what I wanted to say. So, one scout left here for BacT, trying to get through his wall over here, or at least weaken it so the archers can march that way, but I feel like I don't like BacT's army positioning right now. These guys are unlikely to get through these walls over here, and in exchange it allows Project Belgium to march up in the face of BacT, something that could prove fatal. So, we're gonna have Project Belgium. I actually was thinking about one thing, by the way. How about, like, I wanted to cast some other sets as well that are overlapping with this, and I was thinking that back in Europe I wouldn't have done that because it would have been like midnight by then for me. But today, considering, well, I'm in US time zone now, it's still just 3 PM. So technically I could do recorded games of previous sets, or not previous, but something like other sets from the 6th round or so. I'm just putting that question up while we're waiting for like any major engagements to happen over here. So if you guys would be interested in that, we could do that. Like V versus Sito, for example, is something that a lot of people were interested in. We won't be able to cast it live, but we could actually do it from Rex. Obviously it's not the same experience, but we have to choose a set, right? So we're gonna have crossbows here for Project Belgium, doing some harassment on BacT's wood line. We are gonna have 0 will KD still, so there is some harassment, but it's not like they're actually actively killing economy whatsoever. We will have Elite Skirms coming in from Project Belgium, Elite Skirm as well from BacT, so the two players seem to mirror each other's moves, but Project Belgium goes for a second TC and just now goes for University Ballistics, whereas on the other side, I don't see BacT with a University or a second Town Center either. This could actually hurt really badly for BacT because now Project Belgium will take this fight. +2 defense will be faster for Project Belgium, so he should have a advantage here. And the early ballistics advantage will be big for Project Belgium. Now, here's the deal. His woodline actually gets pushed, reacts quite nicely, pops out the crossbows and the Elite Skirms, and picks off quite a lot of those crossbows from a distance. I have to say that I'm actually favoring the fights that Project Belgium is taking over here, and not the ones that BacT is, because it's right now 22 to 16 KD, and added to the fact that now Project Belgium is going to have ballistics. He has had Boso for a while, and BacT just finished with it, and I think Project Belgium is in a better position. So, as things stand, Bugum is on 2 TCs, double ranges, no Siege Workshop from either player just yet. Second TC is in for BacT, and he's going to drop a third one just now, as he's once again going to intercept BacT's army, and remember that BacT still doesn't have ballistics, so BacT is gonna be careful in this one. And now a Siege Workshop from Project Belgium, a fairly neutral position he's placing it at. If he wants to be a little bit more aggressive, this hill would have been much better because that would help secure this gold mine and press this stone mine. But I understand that he wants to protect this area because this is going to be an important wood line in the foreseeable future, same for this one, and he wants to prevent his opponent from sneaking all the way to the back of his base and getting a couple of will picks for free. Surprisingly enough, despite the fact that the two players are very close to each other, there was absolutely 0 villagers killed so far during this game, so it's a rather slowly escalating game, I shall say, as BacT loops around with a couple of crossbows, tries to hit the back of that wood line. Look at this is smart from Project Belgium. He's patrolling a crossbowman here, to see if there's any like sneaky units getting behind his wood line. And if this crossbow gets killed, then he knows that, oh shoot, there is someone coming my way. It looks like we'll have a TC on the stone and the wood line over here. And now Mangonel's coming in for Project Belgium. Now, it very much seems like BacT will continue with Elite Skirms, so I wonder if we are going to see some Ethiopian Knights being added, or this will just be Mangonel plus Archer Warfare. For now, it seems like it's just going to be Mangonels, and BacT's Siege Workshop will have to be cancelled here, because that is not going up by any means. And this is what I was referencing to. And look at what BacT is doing. BacT is intentionally not fighting, I believe. Nope, he doesn't take it down. So Project Belgium should know that these crossbows are coming, and indeed he's gonna dispatch a couple of Elite Skirms to take it down. So, in such situations, sometimes it makes sense not to fight that single unit, because once you attack it, your opponent will hear the attack notification. If you don't attack it, your opponent might not notice that you have snuck past him. You will lose some of your units, but it might actually be better off for that. Anyways, Project Belgium loses one wheel over here, not the end of the world considering that he does possess a 5 wheels lead, although he doesn't have wheelbarrows, so realistically that's just about 2. He's actually heavy on stone though. 5 over here and 5 over there inside his base, so he's 10 on stone. Makes me feel like he wants to go for a castle drop play, because BacT hasn't been able to break out of his base for a long time, so it would make sense for Project Belgium to try and go for a castle drop in the opponent's face. That's gonna be 1-for-1 Mangonel trade at the end, but Project Belgium is in the danger of losing that other Mangonel, so he's gonna have to pull a Repair Villager, something I don't see just yet. If you drop a castle, your most likely spot is just going to be over here. It's not going to deny a lot of resources, but that's your best bet still. And indeed, Project Belgium pulls a Repair Wheel for that Mangonel. So now, BacT is just defending with Elite Skirms mostly, as Project Belgium, look at his resources. He's getting closer to Imperial, combine it with the fact that he could drop a castle, and this is looking great for Bagum. He's going to start pushing the archer ranges over here, as the range is slowly going down. Another Mangonel pops out for BacT, so he's gonna have to take a very, very good engagement over here to try and prevent those archers from going down. That's a good start, takes down one Mangonel without retaliation. And Project Belgium, it's going to be a nice 1-for-2 trade over there. But now Project Belgium gets a big shot in, and that Mangonel is being repaired, so after all, I feel like this might have even ended better for Project Belgium, especially with another hit on those skirmishers and crossbows. Mangonel now pops out though for BacT, so BacT actually takes down the Mangonel from Project Belgium, and also takes down the Repair Villager. So this means that Project Belgium no longer has the momentum to drop a cast in the opponent's face, and it looks like BacT is going to get the Mangonel out here on the right side from this Siege Workshop. Project Belgium getting housed a little bit, and he still hasn't clicked up to Imperial, so seems like momentum is disappearing a little bit here for Project Belgium, as the castle will come up at this hill, or at least that's the plan, but then BacT says hello there and brings up his Mangonel. Now Project Belgium tries to take a shot, catches the edge of that group, the Mangonel still doing a bit of a dancing over here, but this is actually better for BacT if you ask me. Once again, it's a good fight for BacT. This random Mangonel is just chasing Wills here, and it looks like Project Belgium will have to settle for a very, very much defensively positioned castle here. Oh, that was a beautiful attack as well from BacT, and it very much seems like BacT is now taking over. Because Project Belgium, even though he's actually going to be probably faster to Imperial, Project Belgium's push kind of stalled out, and instead of a castle drop, he was forced to make a defensive castle. He has killed 7 wheels so far, and he lost 7 wheels as well, and BacT's Mangonel micro here has been top-notch. Like, he just annihilated the Mangonels of Project Belgium, and now indeed, Project Belgium will have to make a defensive tower here, because the base is wide open over here, so the crossbows and the skirmishers can just march right in to hit that gold miner, so Bagum is gonna have to jump in and just hold that off for a moment. He's even getting guard tower. He's gonna click into Imperial basically at the same time as his opponent, and that should favor Britons, because in a Treb war, the Britons will have the Warwolf Trebs. The Britons will get insane range advantage in Imperial, and that's going to help microing your units quite heavily. So yeah, Imperial Age coming in at the same time, after all, for both players. And the question is what Project Belgium will be able to do. What about torsion engines? Torsion engines would be nice, but Britain arbs and longbows outrange onagers. In theory, if you can get close enough, torsion engines will be devastating, but Britons should not allow you to get close enough to be able to use onagers. That's the tricky thing fighting Britons and Imperial. Onagers are extremely hard to actually get hits on with, because the Arbalest will just pick them off from a distance. Like, they can have 10 range, and an onager with siege engineers will have 9. Is it 9 or 7? Or it's definitely not 7, it's 8 or 9. 8 without and 9 with siege engineers. So now, it looks like we're gonna have a battering ram coming in here for BacT. Project Belgium going for another siege workshop here for defense. And we will have another TC coming in from Project Belgium. Now, one thing that we have to highlight is that there's a lot of neutral areas on the left side of the map, so controlling those could be vital, and it looks like Project Belgium is the one moving out first, only to get his villager picked off by a couple of nasty skirmishers over here. So, Mangonel for Project Belgium, and it looks like BacT wants to do a ram push here, probably kept rams even. And the idea could be that he wants to knock down this TC and open up the back of Project Belgium's base. Bombard and torsion engines would work. Not really. Like, bombard cannons won't prevent Arbalest from sniping down the onagers, I think. They will do some damage, but like, bombard cannons in general are not amazing at dealing with skirmishers and Arbalests. They do okay, but not amazing. How do you see Nil's chances versus Miguel? 10%. Approximately. So now it's quite a lot of elite skirms. It's 53 army against 49, and it looks like BacT is taking over. He lost his rams before those could be upgraded to kept rams, as now Bracer chemistry comes in. I don't see even Arbalest upgrade from Project Belgium. That is because we're gonna have elite skirms coming in for Project Belgium only. Like, barely any crossbows are on the field. It's hard to say, because another problem that Project Belgium is facing is that Britons are insanely good at defending, and the thing is that the players are so close to each other that mobility is not a factor on this map. If the players were further away from each other, Project Belgium could try to mess around with light cavalry, even though Ethiopian light cav is very underwhelming. But the thing is that mobility is not a factor, so slow civilizations that are powerful at grinding forward are extremely strong here in such close vicinity. And Britons are one of the best civilizations when it comes to like slow and grindy games. So now you have Ring Arch Armor coming in, Kept Grams already on the way. So BacT is in a very, very good spot right now. The only way I see Project Belgium coming back into this one is if he can somehow do a lot of pressure on the opponent's economy, and I don't see any signs of that right now, I'm not gonna lie. So this is going to be Rams now pushing down the towers, and Project Belgium's eco is exposed. It's hard to say where this slipped for Project Belgium, because it's not like he was taking any awful engagements, but if you think about that overcommitment here, when he pushed in and lost all his mangonels, that might have been a game-losing move after all. It didn't seem like it was that significant. It was definitely a massive loss for Project Belgium, but it didn't seem game-deciding, but it may have been. Because if that army doesn't go down, Project Belgium would have castle-dropped his opponent here, and that would be a completely different game. Now, Britons struggle quite badly against Siege Ram. That's the thing that Britons will have a really hard time against, and that could be something that helps Project Belgium. Speaking of helping Project Belgium, he will need the help of gods here as well, because he's gonna have to get a castle up, loses a huge amount of vills. This game was like 7-7 vill KD for a long time. Now we're talking about 37 vill kills by BacT, and Project Belgium merely 7 still. So population is now very, very good for BacT, and as long as this is kept gram versus kept gram, this is okay for BacT. But honestly, I think that given his advantage, I would even say that if he can just hold this on with kept grams and you know, slow down the siege ram push, that could be enough as well. Now, traditionally Britons struggle really badly against siege rams, and that could be the only chance that Project Belgium has here. But that's a reasonable chance, one thing that you need though is escorts to those siege rams, something that kills the wheels that are trying to kill them. And it looks like BacT's attacking into light cavalry. You see stables coming in here. Britain light cav isn't amazing, but it's actually alright. And I feel like this might have been the final push from Project Belgium, because the siege rams disappeared from the field. Project Belgium is at 14 army, and at this point, the army consists of 11 crossbows and 5, or 11 skirms and 5 crossbows. The light cavalry will just overrun him, I believe, because at this point, there's a trap shelling this castle already, there is rams pushing in, there's Britain Arabs to fight against. I think BacT doesn't even have a omen on those Arabs. So we're going to have another castle coming in here from Project Belgium. He's trying to expand as much as possible, but I wonder if Project Belgium knows about the stables. He does. Project Belgium knows that there is stables coming, but he will have no answer to that. He's trying to tech back into Arbalest, but I just feel like BacT seems to be one step ahead now in every single element of the game. So now it is another wave of siege rams, but you see that light cavs, and now BacT can use his mobility and run in here, start killing wheels, same thing over here. So it looks like BacT might just use the first wave of light cavalry, that already have +4 defense by the way, so outstanding way to upgrade them, by BacT to just destroy these siege rams here, and then allow these cav rams to push up. Another trap comes in here. Project Belgium is still repairing this one, but he is... Actually, Bagram has 1000 stone, he has 26 on stone, so he can repair this castle for the next 1 year or so. But regardless, the traps are now setting up to take this castle down. There is no repair villagers around, so I think this castle is probably going down. And if this castle goes down, I think Project Belgium's chances of winning are also disappearing. It looks like he's making some shoulder warriors, because he's only up against skirms and he wants to take down those rams. But shoulder warriors die very easily to skirms as well if they don't have any armor upgrades. Like, shoulder warriors have like basically no pierce armor, so, and very low HP, so skirms will just destroy them. Free traps should be able to melt this castle, and Project Belgium has to spend an awful lot of stone repairing this one as well. And look at the left side, we already have a castle in here as well. So yeah, this shoulder warrior is good to take down this ram, but that's all about that. BacT takes a rather convincing game number 1. He was playing very defensive, but after all, it actually worked out for him. And the defensive playstyle allowed him to just boom up and force a crucial engagement against Project Belgium that, you know, Project Belgium ended up losing. If you take a look at the timeline, I think it's blatantly obvious where that was this part. This was the fight where Project Belgium's army just got cleaned up, and if you take a look at BacT's army numbers, it never dropped below a certain threshold. BacT always had good army numbers. Project Belgium actually took like at least one bad fight here that just made his entire army disappear, and he was never able to rebuild that again. You see that he was struggling with numbers consistently, whereas BacT had like a steady army numbers. He just never was able to recover from that first big loss over there. And BacT takes game number 1, which brings us to Project Belgium's home map over here. Let's see if they started. They did. And the map is gonna be called Meadow. We are going to have an Aztecs versus Tatars matchup, and on the Meadow, I actually like Tatars a little bit more, although I think Lithuanians is probably the best civilization. Speaking of Lithuanians, was that drafted? Lithuanians wasn't drafted, so I'm a little bit surprised about this one. So here's the deal. If you take a look at Meadow, as I welcome you to this map, you're going to have red Tatars for BacT on the south and yellow Aztecs for Project Belgium on the north. You start with all 3 of our lumber camps on one of these wood lines. There's 4 main wood lines on the map, with one of them covering each hill, and there's 5 relics in the middle. So this is why I was saying that Lithuanians could be a great civ for this map, not only because it's easy to pick up the relics, it's also because you start with a bunch of extra food, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you should start with extra food as Lithuanians in Empire Wars, but I always confuse things because there are some like specific balance things that I'm always missing in the patch notes. But technically, Lithuanians are very, very good as a scout civilization for this map. Can actually add spearmen nicely because they have faster movement speed on them, skirmishers, They can go for cav archers if they want to, and the ability to pick up the relics easily is something that makes Lithuanians very good here. Still, Aztecs are nothing to shy away from, and look at this. It's a bit of a surprise play from Project Belgium. He goes unconventional, not going for archers. He's going for eagles right away. I wonder if this is a reaction to what BacT is doing. This is a gamble here for Project Belgium. Given the fact that BacT is going for archers, this is a good gamble from Project Belgium. However, I don't know how he expected BacT to go for archers, because BacT could have gone scouts very easily here. It very much seems like it's gonna be archers, and that helps Project Belgium so much, because these eagles will be very, very good against the early archers, even though they're missing +1 defense and squires. But one thing is sure, Project Belgium wants to play full eagles and play a very defensive game earlier. You see that he's walling up his right side. I'm surprised how defensive the two players are playing, because this map is technically supposed to be all about raiding, like scouts, cavalry play, trying to raid the opponent's wood lines. And what we are seeing is just a lot of walls from all these players, and BacT is gonna be fully walled, so is Project Belgium. But in that case, I actually prefer Project Belgium's spot a lot better, because guess what? Aztec Eagles in early Castle Age are very, very tough to spot, or not stop. So, here's the deal. You are gonna have a market for Project Belgium, which raises the question of whether or not he's gonna go for stone selling here. Because he could technically try selling his stone, here it is. And if he sells his stone, he could try to play this a fast castle way and then go triple barracks eagles. Aztecs could be a very, very good aggressive civilization early Castle Age. Go triple barracks eagles, secure the middle of the monastery, pick up the relics, and then you can use that monastery to convert the knights that will be the reaction from your opponent to your eagles. So this is looking like a good game plan here for Project Belgium. He's about to click up right now. Once he clicks up, he's gonna grab squires and +1 defense, so he will no longer be exposed to those archers. Speaking of archers, they does have fletching on them, but BacT isn't paying attention, and guess what? These guys will get intercepted, all the value going down the drain here. Now, if you're BacT, it's hard to say what you should do, because like mass knights might be your best chance, but against Aztec that's a little bit risky because they could go for their monks. Like mass cav archers could work, but it takes so much time to get to cav archers, and I don't think that you have enough time to do that against Aztecs. Like you see, Project Belgium already has 8 eagles, he's gonna have like 15 by the time he gets to Eagle Warrior in Castle Age. And I really like how Project Belgium is going for a defensive gameplay over here, whereas on the other side, Keshik, that is actually not a bad idea. BacT is going for straight Keshik here. And the thing is that Keshiks are actually very, very cheap and cost efficient, so you might be happier spamming Keshik at monks and eagles than you are spamming knights. Still, the main issue here is that even Keshik will struggle to stop like an overwhelming flood of eagles, especially because BacT is gonna be a minute behind compared to Project Belgium in Castle Age timing. So by the time we are seeing the first Keshiks coming in, we are probably going to see a huge amount of eagles overall. Now, the left side and the right side of BacT's base is very open for the eagles to breach, but the middle is actually fairly well defended, and a second range comes in here for BacT. I'm a little bit puzzled on what BacT wants to do, because it very much seems like he wants to continue with crossbows, but he also wants to go for a castle for Keshik, and it is gonna be Workshop from Project Belgium alongside a monastery, as expected. Project Belgium skipped the loom, by the way, or not loom, but or scholar, but in exchange he actually milled his huntables here, as now it's Eagle Warriors with +2 defense, and I mean, we're gonna have a castle here, but that's an awful castle. That's an awful castle for BacT. I mean, this is a dream scenario for Project Belgium. He sees the castle and he's like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna leave your wood line and push you over here. Because the wood line is only one part of BacT's eco, and what Project Belgium is interested in is this part. The gold, the stone income, and so he sees the castle, but he will try to still bash his way through the walls. The mangonel should be able to take down the repair villager in here, and cav archers will start to be added here. So I guess it's Kashyyyk cav archer, although I'm not sure how many cav archers we're going to see, because these ranges, or at least one of them, will still probably go down. So I don't think that BacT is gonna invest a lot into the cav archers. Like, they will get bloodlines and husbandry, because those are needed for the Kashyyyk as well. But other than that, I don't think he's gonna get, like, ballistic stumbling or so. BacT is playing very, very defensive once again, not really making a huge amount of army. But once those mangonels show up, I feel like these eagles could easily overrun the base of BacT. He's one hole away from completely dying here. And I don't see any Kashyyyk. He's slowly massing cav archers, but I kind of dislike that, to be honest. I mean, as long as he has his walls, he's all good. But what happens if those walls are gone? And keep in mind that behind this one, Project Belgium picks up 5 relics, and with Aztecs, that's gonna be an insane, insane thing. Oh yeah, Tatars have Thumbring for free, that's true, I forgot he's Tatars. Still, Thumbring is gonna be there for the cav archers. Ballistics, archer armor upgrades are still there for the CA if he wants to go for those. It looks like he will continue with CA and not make a single Kashyyyk, which raises the question of why he went for that early castle. Maybe he just wanted to defend his wood line, like, he was so scared of losing his wood line eventually that he just went for the castle. It would be an awkward decision, because I would have assumed that the reason why he's going for straight castle here is because he wants to start making Kashyyyk. So now Project Belgium is on 5 relics, he's grabbing Sanctity, and this is the moment where it starts to become really rough for BacT, because his walls are still holding. In fact, a couple of cav archers will loop around to hit the back of Project Belgium's base, only to bump into full double layer walls. But what's more interesting is that these eagles could actually just run in here and start pressuring this wood line. BacT, you might want to make a mill here. I mean, this is not gonna be super efficient for you even with wheelbarrow, but especially without wheelbarrow, this mill is a little too far away from these berries. Anyways, redemption on the way for Project Belgium, so in this case, it starts to become really problematic for BacT to hold this one, especially if he accidentally opens that gate. 2 battering rams full of eagles, and now a monk comes in here for Wololo, and that's actually a pretty sturdy monk. It's 55 HP, and BacT has to delete his mangonel at the end of the day. And now, things are getting heated up here for BacT. He's in real serious trouble. Like, he just made a Kashyyyk, but that's all. And look at that, he's up against 27 eagles. Project Belgium almost has 3 times the army, as his opponent does, and when the barracks goes down, the eagles will just be like, hello there, and start running into the eco. Choo-choo goes the train of rams. One of them is almost dead, as BacT tries to quick wall against the rams here, but there's 3 mangonels pushing up as well to take down that town center, and I think that the eagles can just flat out run in. Like, they can just send in the 15-20 eagles here and just rampage the eco, and this is why Aztecs are so dangerous. They can just keep running around your eco and killing your vills, while there is always more coming. BacT takes down 2 mangonels with 1 shot over here. That was a beautiful one over here. Takes down Scorpion as well. But at this point, I think Project Belgium just needs to give up on the siege push and just raid his opponent's eco to death. Now, there was 2 TCs for BacT for a while, so he still has a 10 vills lead compared to Project Belgium. Brag waited quite a bit until he attacked. So I still think that he needs to commit. I mean, it's only a couple of cav archers and crossbows, and he sees that. So he should just commit to this one, and I'm not sure why he's not doing that now. This could be disaster though. Because, guess what? Bunch of cav archers and Kashyyyk get to the back of his base. Project Belgium also needs some more barracks. He desperately needs more barracks. Look at this. He's only 2 barracks still. That's a massive mistake from Bagum. If he loses the game, it's gonna be because of that. Because right now, he needs a lot more production. He could easily afford 4 barracks production, maybe even 5. And because of that, he doesn't have the ego numbers to, like, overrun his opponent. Well, he technically has. I mean, he's got 32 egos, but I don't know why he's not committing to this. if he runs in here, he's going to lose, or he's going to kill half of BacT's eco. And just 2 egos here, 2 egos here, and BacT is going to struggle so badly to clean that one up. So I just feel like Project Belgium is playing a little too passive here, and that allows his opponent to outboom him, and that's dangerous. Because if BacT goes for full Kashyyyk now, it's not like Project Belgium has the Monk numbers anymore to convert those. I just feel like Bagum is playing overly passive here. He needs to be a lot more aggressive. He went for a 1 TC play that has to be like considerably more aggressive. It very much seems like he wants to push down that TC, but I think he would achieve a lot more if he would just go for the ego raids. And he's not doing it, you see. BacT is once again pushing him away. Maybe Project Belgium is a little bit more concerned in committing based on the previous game's experience for him. But I still believe that, like, he's approaching this from the wrong direction, I believe. He wants to take this TC down, but you shouldn't. What happens if Project Belgium runs in here with 30 egos? Like, BacT is going to be forever trapped inside his TC and towers, right? And he's gonna have like no resource income. And then you can send a bunch of egos to the left side. The entire concept of the Aztec triple barracks egos play is to just go for like a super aggressive rush down the opponent's eco style play. And there is a repair villager behind that ram, so Project Belgium is trying to play sort of a Hoang style here with the rams behind, and this is exactly what should have happened 3 minutes ago for Project Belgium. Just run in and kill everything. And your opponent is gonna have his entire eco idle inside his town center. And boom, suddenly you have a nice little lead here, and you just keep sending in the eagles. Eagle after eagle, and they will eventually grind down the opponent's economy. Now BacT is making Kashyyyk, but as I said, BacT should have made Kashyyyk long time ago. Now, the Cav Archers are moving in here to Project Belgium's base, so he's also gonna be careful because now those Cav Archers could do quite a lot of damage to him, but the TC goes down, and it looks like now is the time to commit for Project Belgium, because now he's slaying all the vills. So while, yes, these Cav Archers are doing some damage to Project Belgium's eco, that's sure, and Bagum is losing some vills, the damage that is being caused on BacT's base is considerably higher. As, like, BacT killed 7 vills in this game, lost 15, and that count is going to grow really rapidly. So now it's 18, and as I said, all these vills here could go down really easily. And I think that BacT played this one overly passive. Like, he didn't make any army that actually counters egos. He tried to go Cav Archer, but he just got overrun by egos here because of that. So, if he went for earlier Kashyyyk, this could have been different. He needed like 20 Kashyyyk to stop this. And now it's Redemption. Remember that Project Belgium has Redemption, so you can actually start converting buildings in here. And right now, BacT has a defensive castle, but that's it. Project Belgium's eco is actually horribly unbalanced. Part of that comes from the fact that he's getting an insane gold income from the relics. Keep in mind that behind this one, Project Belgium is Aztecs with 5 relics. So it's one thing that he's converting the Kashyyyk, it's another thing that he's raiding the opponent's eco. But the biggest deal here is that he's Aztecs with 5 relics, and at this point he should just buy himself up to Imperial, drop a castle somewhere around over here and trap that down. Or alternative is that you just steamroll the opponent's eco. Better late than never indeed. He balances his economy, and then he realizes that he's missing a building, I believe. And on the way to Imperial he goes, and Elite Eagles should be able to overrun this one. He also could have gotten attack upgrades before for the Eagles. Like, he kinda needs them right now. He can't actually commit against this castle, and he shouldn't. So indeed, best thing he can do is like ram down houses. He actually converted the blacksmith of the opponent, I'm just noticing. This was BacT's blacksmith. Now it belongs to Project Belgium. Husbandry just now coming in for BacT, an otherwise very vital upgrade for those Cav Archers to be able to run away from Eagles. BacT will still pick off a couple of vills here, but at this point he's nowhere close to imping. And if Project Belgium finds these vills over here, that could be very easy to get some raiding damage in here for Project Belgium. It looks like he's not really committing to that. He will just play it safe and wait until he gets into Imperial. And maybe even go for Cap Trams. Like, Cap Trams Eagles here could work out very nicely. as the market goes down as well. Probably the archer range is going to go down as well, and BacT will just not have production. He's making ranges for more cav archers. But why? Like, these cav archers won't accomplish much now. Project Belgium shouldn't throw away these rams like he's doing right now, because guess what? Kashyyyk and the Veils pop out, and this is extremely wasteful from Project Belgium. You shouldn't have gone for that castle. I mean, there was literally zero chance that you take that castle down. You send in the Veils, if you're BacT, you send in a Kashyyyk and you can take those rams down easy peasy. BacT coming in with bloodlines over here for his cav archers. Now he has husbandry. But one thing that BacT doesn't have is numbers. He can't actually fight 30 soon-to-be elite eagles that were, by the way, missing squires all the time. That's actually a very, very sloppy move from Project Belgium. Missing squires ever since then. But still, he's in Imperial. And BacT acknowledges that, okay, I'm going to lose this one. There's no chance I hold off Aztecs in Imperial Age. And with that, I think Project Belgium went for the better civilization on this one. I just don't understand what BacT wanted to do with Tatars here. Honestly, it kind of felt like BacT didn't have an idea how to play this map. Because the Tatars was just a generally awkward pick. I mean, you have these hills over here, sure, but you can't just pick Tatars for every map that has hills, right? So, yeah, I'm a little bit puzzled on this one. Nonetheless, we will jump into game number 3 now, and that is going to be the home map of BacT. So it looks like they haven't launched the game up just yet, which gives us some time to look at the draft of the players. So Britons are gone for BacT, that was a win. Tatars was a late pick and it's a loss. Other side, Project Belgium lost with the Ethiopians, which was his first pick, and then won with Aztecs, which was a quite late pick overall for him. Remaining civs are Magyars, Indians, Koreans, Khmer for Project Belgium. Other side is Italians, Mayans, Portuguese, and Chinese. Okay. They are setting up the next game right now. And we should be good to go into game number 3 over here. The winner is going to play tomorrow in the decider rounds. And look at that. Yerna Magazine, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Welcome back for the second month now. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. So, at this point, we are looking into either BacT or Project Belgium moving up into the final round tomorrow. The final round will all be live casted tomorrow, so that's going to be pretty interesting and neat as well. So, yeah, that's gonna be the case. After this set, as I said, I will cast some of the recorded games. I already have some ideas what to cast. So, yeah, we will be doing some recorded game casting after this. And we're going to Northern Isles. So, water map it is, says BacT. And on Northern Isles, I would assume that the civilizations should be Italians or Portuguese. Oh boy, Portuguese and islands. I have a bad feeling about this one. Portuguese and islands. Luckily, we have time limit. We have time limit for the game, so it's not going to be an infinite game by any means. Other side could be Koreans, maybe. That feels like the most reasonable civ selection there. Bagum? Ah, look at Bagum being controversial. Okay, so 1-1 scoreline right now. Did I actually add the score? Yes, I did. So we should be good to go with the next game when Project Belgium decides to leave my chat and actually press the start game button, which apparently he did. So back we are on Northern Islands, and it's going to be an interesting Civ selection from Project Belgium, something I considered but then said it's not gonna be a thing. It is Magyars for Northern Isles. Now, why would you ever do Magyars here? A low capture age. So what does Magyars give you on this one? Magyars give you cheap scouts, and I think I did mention this one before. I think that this map is not really about water fighting that much. It's more about landings, because your fishing eco is always safe at the back of your base, and you have a transport, so it's always landings. And from that regard, Magyars could be very, very good for scouts landing. BacT is going for the standard Italians pick, and it looks like BacT wants to play this as a standard water map. I don't like it. Why don't I like it? I don't like it because I just firmly believe that playing standard water on this map is not something that's very viable, right? So like, you see, BacT, I'm not sure if he actually understands the concept of this map. I mean, playing water on this map feels very much off. Like, he's going to wall himself, that's totally true. But he's still going to allow his opponent to have a foothold on his island. And Project Belgium is here for blood. He's not just here to make scouts, he's also here to make towers. And he will make towers, and that gold mine, the last time I checked, is going to be very much exposed to towering. And Magyars have cheap scouts, Magyars have stronger scouts. So if Project Belgium gets a tower up over here, it is going to be denying this gold mine. Now, BacT is getting an archer range up. So it's going to be a little bit harder for Project Belgium to get a tower up over there, as BacT comes in with the ships. Project Belgium actually goes for the berries here, so he indeed is just going to play like landing, and then now it's going to be skirmishers. So let's see if BacT... Oh, BacT could send a couple of archers over. That could be a good plan, and I would like that. I didn't like the game plan of BacT at the beginning of the game, but I'm starting to like it more and more. It looks like he's not going for like a crazy kamikaze landing. It's more about, okay, let's play defensive and transport a couple of archers over. And it's hard to defend against archers, much harder to defend against archers than it is to defend against scouts. Against scouts, you can quick wall. Against scouts, you can make spearmen from your starting barracks. Against archers, you specifically need to make an archer range back at home, so it's better to transport archers than scouts in most cases. Project Belgium will just keep his fishing eco alive. He's got 5 fishing ships. His opponent only had 4, so Project Belgium added an extra fishing ship here. And now we're going to have Project Belgium getting closer and closer to dropping a tower here, and this map has 3 gold deposits on the players' islands. One over here that's inaccessible for BacT because of this big wood line. One over here that will soon be inaccessible because of the tower coming up here. And oh, that's super good micro from BacT. Look at that. He picked off the archer from his opponent, and now the archers just jump into the transport. Project Belgium will see that though, and he will rush up at archer range back at home. Tower versus counter tower coming in here, which should mean that Project Belgium shouldn't be able to deny this gold mine entirely, as that range is almost done. By the way, while Project Belgium is distracted, BacT is sending in the ships, and as I said, I'm starting to like the game plan of BacT here more and more. Belgium's gonna have to go for a couple of skirms back at home to defend, but for now he is focused on microing his stuff and making sure that this tower doesn't go down. Now, truth being told, if we take a look at BacT's base, he doesn't have gold income, which is very, very worrisome for him. The good news for BacT, however, is that he is able to take down all the fishing eco of the opponent. So at this point, while the archers will get cleaned up here, Project Belgium will lose his fishing eco, and that's going to have its impact on his economy. So the 5 will kills that you see here were all fishing ships. Still, BacT has no gold to work with. And it also looks like Project Belgium was using archers inside the tower for some added firepower. And for the time being, it looks like both players have been repairing that tower relatively evenly. Still, at this point, I'm actually favoring BacT here a little bit more, because he's gonna be able to reclaim his gold mine. You see, he's about to go up to Castle Age. What? He's already up! I didn't even spot BacT clicking up. Oh my goodness, obviously I favor him that much. How on the earth did he click up this fast? I didn't even see him going up. He's now up to Castle Age, and that changes things entirely, because now he can go for fire ships to win water, he can go crossbows, and he can go for the defensive siege workshop. BacT is all over the place right now, and that's a massive advantage for him in this game so far. So, at this point, Project Belgium is just about to click up, but Magyars don't have any good eco bonus, and that means that it's going to be a slow process until he gets up to Castle Age. And BacT will just send a couple more crossbows, and probably even a Will for a forward siege workshop would make sense. So crossbows, workshop here, and start pushing Project Belgium's base from this direction. And indeed, here comes the Will as well. Let's see if BacT waits for another crossbow. He should. Yes, indeed. He's going to wait for one more crossbow, jump inside, and come all the way around to drop off those Wills. It looks like BacT is also going to pick up Gillnets, so his food eco is actually going to be very, very nice overall. And at this point, as I said, he's got a 2 Wills lead, but more importantly, he's up to Castle Age and his opponent isn't. And while Project Belgium can make defensive skirmishers, there's a hole here still, the crossbows can now dive in, and I see what will probably end up being knights from... Okay, there is no hole. There's a tree I didn't see. But yeah, it seems like it's gonna be knights after all from Project Belgium on the opponent's island, which is still rather dangerous. Italians eventually will have no trouble dealing with Magyars with Genoese crossbowmen, but I don't think that's going to come down to that. And the early game is all about the landings. Late game is going to start becoming more and more of a factor in the water gameplay. So Project Belgium actually has a fire galley over here, so he probably wants to push the fishing eco of the opponent from the other side. So we're gonna have Project Belgium's initial dock going down over here, and the right side, he is going for a siege workshop. Project Belgium still needs to be careful not to lose his gold mine here, or BacT still needs to be careful, and oh boy, that's a disaster for Project Belgium. That's a disaster. The siege workshop goes up, but all the Wills here on the front will go down. Nicely done by BacT, by the way, to snipe down the ones that are further away and leave the closest one alive until, you know, you have nothing else left to kill. Now, the Knights could still be devastating here, but if you take a look at what BacT is doing to Project Belgium, crossbows running all over the place. I see a stable, so Knights will probably be a thing as well. I just feel like it's easier to defend for BacT against like a handful of Knights with 1 or 2 monks or so than it is to defend for Project Belgium against that many crossbows and potentially Knights rampaging his eco. Economy-wise, BacT is a massive lead as well. It's a 15 Wills lead, and that mostly can be attributed to this. Since we have a massive water control for BacT, he's able to add some extra fishing ships, and that's gonna have a very, very long-lasting effect. Look at that. BacT is already having enough food to click up into Imperial if he wanted to with Italians. But anyways, he's going to make a TC here in the middle, and that's going to be his primary source of stone, because look at this. He doesn't have access to either of his stone mines, which means that the only way he can make defensive towers or potentially castles is by taking stone from here. But I like this. Project Belgium also seems to be pulling one more Will here. He wants to build something. I don't know what exactly he's thinking about building. Manganese now come out, and once again the gold mine of BacT is going to have to be evacuated. But now he can just move to the middle for gold mining for the time being. And it looks like this Will is just being brought in here to repair. Guard tower on the way for BacT, and I think you need like 3 manganese or so to take down a guard tower, but the guard tower isn't in yet. And there is an opening here, so this repair Will could easily go down. I feel like BacT could be in trouble here. Guard tower is in, as the knights will disengage, but now the villagers are outside of that tower, and there was not enough stone for BacT to rebuild this tower, so he's going to lose this position over here. Behind this one, however, he's killing quite a lot of vills from Project Belgium, so far BacT has 12 vills killed and only lost 1. Things could change, however. These archers find their way into BacT's base through an overchop, and if those knights follow up, then that could be a lot of dead vills from BacT. BacT still has an insane fishing eco though, something that's completely untouched, and he's gonna do like a mass migration to Middle Island for gold and stone. It's still being risky because that's quite a lot of knights, and I just don't see enough beef stopping this. And guess what? Magyars might feel awkward on this map, but once you get into the opponent's base with those +2 attack knights, they suddenly become very, very devastating. And boom, there goes a huge amount of vills from BacT. He still has the vill lead though. The bad news for BacT is that he's going to struggle for wood control, believe it or not. So this could be a time for Project Belgium to try and go and take the water back, which obviously with Magyars is gonna be really, really tough. BacT is now making Spearman, no Pikeman upgrade just yet. As long as the fishing eco is still alive for BacT and untouched, he should have the upper hand, especially because he's mining stone and gold in the middle. And now it's better engrams for Project Belgium. This is going to be sort of a style that Hoang likes to do, or Hoang does very often. You don't really have the eco, but you want to do like one devastating push. That's probably the best thing that you can do here if you're Project Belgium. Like, try to just run down the opponent's base before his economical advantage starts to materialize. Still, I think that at this point, BacT might be thinking about adding additional guard towers. Indeed, he does. He's heavy on stone, but he can't afford a castle, so considering he already made guard tower, it makes sense for him to do it. Project Belgium adding PC number 2, but he's behind by 16 vills right now, and I feel like the next batch of crossbows will once again be transported to Project Belgium's island for just some added harassment. So yeah, Bagum is actually now having 2 rams over here to push this one, but I just think that BacT with the pikeman, he should be able to hold this one. Pikeman will slowly kill the ram, not really going to be a big deal for a player to fight. And now we will have BacT with some more knights inside the stable here on the opponent's island. I'm also getting quite tired over here casting now. It has been 7 hours, and this is usually an intense game mode. So, as expected, the pikemen will take down the battering rams here without any problems. So, this was somewhat predictable, I shall say. And considering the fact that BacT is 20 villagers ahead compared to Project Belgium, and considering that Project Belgium is not even remotely close to affecting the game right now with anything that he has on the opponent's island, I feel like this is just going to be a slow and painful death here for Project Belgium. And once again, BacT proved to be a very, very good defender here. So, let's see, crossbows once again landing and picking off vills on Project Belgium's island. After all, Project Belgium actually killed quite a lot of vills on BacT's island, but he was never able to compensate for the fishing eco, and indeed, BacT takes over and moves this set to a match point. So, with that, now it is going to be the home map of Project Belgium, but he has to win this one, otherwise he is out of this qualifiers. This is definitely a winnable set for him, but based on what we have seen so far, it seems to be an uphill battle, because BacT seems rather strong today. So, we will take a look at the remaining civilizations for the 2 players. Italians are gone for BacT, and Magyars are gone for Project Belgium. He has used up all his top civilizations. BacT still has Mayans, which is a little bit concerning for Project Belgium. So, I'm not sure, like, maybe Project Belgium wanted to go for Aztecs against the Mayans of the opponent, but he didn't expect Tatars to be picked on Meadow. Still, Chinese, Portuguese, Mayans versus Indians, Koreans, Khmer remaining. I would assume that the map pool has Frigid Lake in it, because Frigid Lake would explain why we have Khmer. That's probably the most likely place where you would actually end up using Khmer in Empire Wars. All right, let's see if they have a game over here. Not yet. So we're gonna wait for these. And let's see. After this set, I think I will do like one or two more from recorded games because I'm curious at those. So we'll do some more recorded game casting, and then I might end up doing all of like what I'm thinking about is that I am probably going to do everything in the round of 16s. That makes some sense, right? For YouTube. We already casted quite a lot of those, but I would say that it makes some sense to do something like all the round of 16s. Obviously, some of them will not be uploaded immediately to YouTube. It's impossible for me to do it everything in one day. So I have to figure out how to do it because I will probably upload all the casts of tomorrow's sets. So yeah, it's not gonna be spoiler free, that's for sure. Because like the decider sets will happen tomorrow, and those will have players that won in the round of 16s. But I physically am unable to cast all round of 16s today before tomorrow. So I could only release the leftover round of 16s that I wasn't able to cast after I have uploaded the decider sets. Which I assume is going to cause some, backlash, people saying that, hey, you already spoiled the result of the previous one, but as I said, I have two options over here. Okay, we're going to Ring Fortress. So let's take a look at Khmer versus Mayans. I was wrong about Khmer. Project Belgium is a different plan over here, and Ring Fortress is a map that you haven't seen today yet. On the right side, we're going to have BacT as Mayans in red. Left side is going to be yellow for Project Belgium. You have a big ring around your base. Most of it is policized, but there is like 1 million holes on it. So it kind of feels like a good old-fashioned Viking base. And we're gonna have a stable for Project Belgium. So it believes in the mobility and fast play. And I actually like what BacT is doing a lot more. This is something I actually looked at when I looked at this map script, that you usually have a chance to wall to your wood line relatively easily from this starting base. And the thing is that you can do relatively easy walls here because half of your base is already walled. It looks like BacT is not going to use these walls because it's easier to just make a new wall rather than plug all those holes in. But you see that by the time Project Belgium will arrive with scouts, BacT is very likely to be more or less walled. So these walls should go up. He's gonna have a defensive spearman in here. He is going Mayans archers, no surprise about that one. If he's going Mayan archers though, I would actually like to see some like consistent eagle production in case Project Belgium goes for skirmishers. Bagham's gonna do the exact same thing. An additional added benefit from Project Belgium here could be that he can jump into houses with Khmer, so he could make a house here and house here, just jump inside if there is any raids coming his way, and he's gonna bump into walls here, as expected. So BacT once again will try to play a slow and defensive-focused game in this one, whereas on the other side, Project Belgium tried to play a little bit more aggressive, and he will actually use the starting wall foundations to ensure the safety of his base in this. So at this point, Khmer farming seems to be rather powerful for him, and at this point he will have to start adding villas to gold, because he isn't making scouts, yet he's accumulating a huge amount of food already. He needs to start sending villas to gold like ASAP, because he could click up in the next 1 or so minute. Anyways, his scouts are still trying to find some targets to hit, but it's unlikely that they will. BacT is just chasing with Spearman. BacT is going to sit back at home, with the exception of the fact that he pulls up 2 archers, an eagle and the Spearman, and he moves into Project Belgium's base. And I guess the walls weren't fixed there in time. Project Belgium not losing a single will just yet, but the idle time is massive on him, and if the archer reinforcements would come in, this would be even more so troublesome for Project Belgium. I don't see an archer range for skirms yet, so currently Project Belgium has no answer to the Spearman plus archer play of the opponent. He probably wants to continue with knights, and he will be able to, he clicks up to Castle Age right now. His woodline here is exposed, but he can jump into this house if he wants to, as it looks like BacT will continue with the second range. He's on the way to Castle Age as well, so it looks like the Khmer farming eco didn't propel Project Belgium into an insane Castle Age time, as one would have expected. So, now we're gonna have the archers coming in here to hit Project Belgium's back. And as expected, Project Belgium will jump into the houses. As I said, it's a nice little bonus for Khmer. In this one, Belgium actually goes for a second stable, so it's gonna be double stable knights, which could prompt early pikemen from BacT. BacT is also not making archers on one of his ranges, only just now queued up the first one. As, I mean, Project Belgium, even though he's not losing vills, it's definitely idle time. And that's not ideal here for him, so he's like 5 minutes vill idle time as opposed to 125. And that's going to have its effect on his economy, despite the fact that he's got the super farmers of Khmer. Some more spears joining the fun over here, only 3 archers. The archers do have fletching and +1 defense even. But at this point, BacT is just unable to kill vills here because, guess what? They can always jump into houses. Now, if BacT actually committed against this hole here, he could actually go in and start taking down vills on the gold mine, and I see scale mail, most likely for just pikeman. For BacT, he wants to go like pike and crossbow here, which I think is a reasonable civilization or a reasonable thing to do here at this point. So, crossbow now coming in here for BacT alongside pikeman, and considering that these archers don't have pikeman support, this is a little bit sloppy. You don't want to lose all these crossbows over here. Project Belgium is doing a nice job at saving that low HP knight as well. But once the pikemen are in, this is gonna be tough for Project Belgium to fight one of the knights go down. The knights only have +1 defense, so they actually die relatively easily to crossbowmen, especially when there is pikeman support. And I feel like Project Belgium is just gonna have an insane amount of idle time on his eco. Like, he constantly is forced to run to houses, whereas if you look at BacT, his eco was never even touched in this game so far. And yeah, I mean, Project Belgium hasn't lost a single will yet, but 16 minutes idle time compared to 2 minutes, and Project Belgium can't always look everywhere. Even though he's now jumping in here, eventually he's going to start losing wills. So, especially if these crossbows and pikemen start pushing this gold mine, Project Belgium will have no other choice than to abandon it. It looks like he wants to go for a scorpion, as BacT must be really frustrated that he can't kill a single will, despite the fact that he's definitely trying to do that. Now it's going to be a scorpion, first will kill of the game here from BacT, snipes down 1. And now it looks like we might have an engagement over here, because there is not a lot of pikemen here. So BacT tries to dive in, snipe the Scorpion with the Eagle. That will be unsuccessful. And look at this, crossbows from the other side though. They will just try to make sure that Project Belgium's entire wood income is idle. And that's exactly what's gonna happen. Another wheel goes down here, and another one. This is a fight that BacT doesn't want to take because the Scorpion is coming from the back. But he will have to take this fight after all. But behind this one, as I said, Project Belgium's wood income is just absolutely disastrous, and Bagum is already behind by 6 wheels because he's only 1 TC and his opponent is already dropping TC number 3. Project Belgium is also playing very defensive, which means that at some point BacT could think about dropping a castle and just pushing up with you know, a castle drop and then plumed archers. Still, Project Belgium has double stable knights with only +1 defense, and the scorpions supporting. These Khmer scorpions are actually fairly devastating, but I think that crossbow pike mangonel is something I still like more for BacT. BacT now has no support for those knights over here, as he doesn't have university. Yeah, there is no university here whatsoever for BacT, so he's going for a very, very eco-heavy approach once again. Not going for fast ballistics and just now grabbing a market. Maybe he wants to buy a bit of a stone for a 4 TC or something like that. This map is definitely one of the slower paced maps of the map pack, because once the initial engagements die out, the bases are fairly well defendable, so it's unlikely that you're going to see a huge amount of engagements. One of those engagements is here though, as BacT is getting forced back quite relentlessly here by Project Belgium. The fact that those knights are missing +2 defense hurts really badly, by the way, so the crossbows are eating them alive. If the +2 defense was there for Project Belgium, this would be a lot more dominant victory here. In that fight, scale mail for BacT, something that he apparently cancelled before, and Project Belgium is healing up his knights here. This is looking better and better for Project Belgium, as we are going to have like full pikemen from BacT, but it feels a little bit like it's a panic move from BacT. In this one, Mangonel pops out on the wrong side. He still needs to get a hit in on those scorpions to get any value, because this siege workshop was made to make sure that the scorpions can't kill the crossbows and the pikemen, and that's not going to be the case. The siege workshop goes down here, and now Project Belgium pushing up with a sort of a full all-in Castle Age Knights. He's going to drop a second TC behind this one, so at least he's not completely dead economically. BacT will try to defend with pikemen, but that's a lot of scorpions from Project Belgium for sure. So let's see. Scorpions are still grinding down the farmers from the outside, and now they will hit the gold miners. So this is getting worse and worse for BacT. I'm not sure how long he can stay in here without taking a fight. He can still run to this gold mine or this gold mine, and once again, we're going to have potentially a big wait here by BacT. So the thing is that he's going to wait until he gets good numbers, and then he's gonna pop them out, just like he did in the first game. He was playing very defensive, and this is a good moment to strike. His Mangonel is able to take down multiple scorpions here. The pikemen took care of some of the knights, but not all of them, and there is still a decent amount of scorpions in here, and it looks like it's not going to be enough to deal with the scorpions and the mangonels, but now another scorpion goes down, and another one is gonna go down, and BacT once again edging out victory. And remember that the eco is much better for BacT here, so if Project Belgium's push here stalls out, there's gonna be absolutely no chance for him to turn this one around. He's still doing some raiding damage here with the knights, so it's not ideal for BacT, but BacT still is going to have like a 10 villagers lead after all, and imagine if he had ballistics even. Now, mobility advantage is on the side of Project Belgium, so he will just try to raid his opponent's base to death, and that could work out very, very nicely. You see that the farming eco of BacT is not really great, and it looks like we have a pause. Something that, guess what, is not uncommon in the case of BacT playing, but he's back now, and they can continue the game. So, at this point, Project Belgium, he's massively building on the fact that he's got a great food eco from the Khmer farmers, but the bigger deal here is that Project Belgium is just slaying villager after villager, and look at this. 54 to 56 villagers. It's no longer an advantage for BacT, and Project Belgium is just relentlessly pushing. Now, keep in mind that once the Scorpion numbers die out, BacT can still counterattack this one, because these pikemen have decent upgrades on them, and there's quite a lot of crossbows. BacT is still missing a lot of upgrades though. Like, I don't know why we're not seeing ballistics for him. I just feel like he generally plays very, very passive and just wants to boom like crazy. So, even in the, if you remember the Meadow game, the second one, BacT barely made any army, and I kind of feel the same thing here. He's making numbers, but he never really made an effort to get the upgrades in for themselves. Anyways, he actually held out over here, but now the good news for Project Belgium is that the ecos are dead even, and he's got free theses as well, for BacT. The bad news for Project Belgium is that his unit composition isn't going to be a long-term counter to what BacT is doing. But Project Belgium, with that many food in the bank, could he be thinking about Imperial Age? Or, honestly, Skirmishers would be a good idea here. Now the Pikeman will take this fight, but the Mangonel gets a good shot, and the Scorpion as well. This is an awful fight for BacT. He lost all his Pikemen, and suddenly we're looking into still a bigger army number for BacT as he takes a nice ground attack there with the Mangonel, but, I mean, his Pikemen just evaporated there, as Project Belgium is going to be happy to be booming on free TCs now. The scores are getting closer, so I feel like what was a game that was heavily favoring BacT now is a game that is, at best, for BacT, an even game. BacT is now 4 TCs, but he only has 22 on food, so it's not like he can make all 4 of those work by any means. And if you look at the eco idle time, now BacT is more idle eco than Project Belgium, and Project Belgium had a massive amount of idle eco in Feudal and Early Castle because of those raids inside his eco. And the Mangonel tries to take a downhill shot, misses the target. Project Belgium comes in to snipe that Mangonel. BacT still takes down the Mangonel over here though, and now Project Belgium disengaging, he's clicking up to Imperial. We are getting closer and closer to game number 5 over here. I'm not exactly sure what Project Belgium will do unit composition wise, because yeah, he's gonna get to Imperial, but imp into what? Cavalier? I wouldn't be that convinced about Cavalier, especially because he just lost his entire army, and oh boy, Imperial Age is a big investment. And I don't see the army of Project Belgium, probably because it is non-existent. And this could suddenly be disaster for Project Belgium. The good news for him is that his opponent doesn't have ballistics on those crossbows. So those crossbows won't destroy villas as easy as they could possibly do it. But even if Project Belgium beats his opponent to Imperial, like, he doesn't seem to have any army. So he's gonna have Imperial Age and absolutely no army. And on the other side, if you look at BacT, he's clicking up as well, and the difference is that BacT is gonna have a good army. So BacT already has Pikeman, but more importantly, Arbalest is the name of the game for him. His eco is comparable to Project Belgium, and now BacT finally grabs ballistics, better late than never. Thumb Ring is still missing, as well as some archer armor, but now BacT breaks into the base of the opponent. Project Belgium scrambles and runs into the houses, but each house can only garrison 5 villas. So, first of all, you're gonna have a lot of idle time. Number 2, you can't squeeze in all villas inside those buildings. And I would say that at this point, the best thing that BacT can do is just kill as many villas as he can with the crossbows here. He should know that these guys are dead when he committed against this one, and he just needs to make a new group of archers and just make sure that he kills as many villas as it is possible. So, Market attempting to trap those crossbows in there, and they line up very nicely for the Scorpion shots in here. Blade Barding on the way for Project Belgium, but only 9 knights. And BacT is gonna have Halberdier very soon, I would say, because he's going to see that the knights are being upgraded, so he's gonna go for halbs. BacT now has a 10 vills lead after all these vills have been picked off. It's still 1 minute away from Imperial for BacT, so he's gotta be careful, but he's got a decent amount of pikemen, but he needs some better upgrades on them, like +2 defense, and potentially even iron casting would be cool, because these knights, however, these knights don't have the upgrades from Imp yet. This is an awful fight for Project Belgium. Even with +4 defense, you don't want to take this fight, but definitely not without it. And with that, Chainmail now on the way for BacT. And Project Belgium doesn't seem to have the answer to the Halberdier flood right now. I mean, he's got a couple of Scorpions, but that's not a whole lot. And I feel like Halberdier Siege Ram could work very nicely here for BacT. He is just flooding more Halberdiers, or the alternative is Halberdier Eagle. I could see that working as well, with the egos being used to just snipe the siege weapons. Cavalier clicked just now for Project Belgium. Halberdier on the way for BacT alongside the Bracer, and no Arbalest just yet for a red player. BacT, I think, is once again taking over, and this is a decider game in this set. Something that will determine who is going to play in the decider set tomorrow. And now the Halberdier is coming at the perfect time for BacT. That was a perfect timing over there. He took that fight. Even with the pikemen he would have won, but with the Halberdiers he decimated those cavalry numbers. And no matter when I look, the army numbers are always a lot better for BacT now. And when he has Arbalests, he's going to be able to start taking down the Scorpions relatively easily, because Castle Age Scorpions won't do much against Arbs. You will need heavy Scorpions for that. BacT with 105 wills, 134 population against 92 pop, and now it's chemistry as well. Cavaliers in for Project Belgium, as now the Knights are trying to get some raiding damage in here. They will eventually get a couple of will kills, that's for granted. But one thing is sure, we are gonna have a massive push in here in the face of Project Belgium. Now Halberdier's coming in here to raid as well. BacT is disturbingly underappreciating this raid over here, so he's losing a lot of wills. What is BacT up to here? I mean, I understand he's pushing here, but he can't afford to lose 20 wills like this one, and despite the fact that he's pushing Project Belgium, I mean, the will counts are still very even thanks to the fact that he completely ignores this aggression inside his base. BacT now 7 on stone. Soon a castle will be a thing, and I would say a castle here would be very, very good. It would deny a stone and 2 gold mines overall. This map has a large amount of extra gold, so it's not like it's going to be possible for BacT to play gold denial game entirely, but it would actually sort of make short-term gold income a bigger problem for Project Belgium. And now we are gonna have Halberdier slowly cleaning this one up, but as I said, these Arbs are just annihilating the Scorpions, and Project Belgium is just unable to get to higher military numbers. He is still at 4 military, as he's trying to get a TC up here. Other side, it very much seems like we're gonna have these Cavaliers also grinded down, and Project Belgium just has no army. So I feel like if any siege arrives here from BacT, that should finish the game. It looks like that's gonna be the castle drop. Exactly. We might just see the castle here, so it destroys the production buildings. But I would say that BacT will now go for a siege ram, and that's a get out of my game castle if I've ever seen one. He's like, Ring Fortress, it's like Ring LOL, says BacT, because he's actually going to place that castle inside the base of the opponent. And now BacT will have to do some quick walling over here. Project Belgium can always delete Palisades, but yeah, he will just acknowledge that BacT has probably higher army numbers than he does. And with that, BacT takes over in this game as well. He's going to be there tomorrow in the decider sets with a chance to qualify for Redbull Wololo 4.